Welcome back friends to Learn with Akash. Today I'm here with another Blender tutorial. In this tutorial what we are going to see is a cloth reveal simulation. What is a cloth reveal simulation if you ask? If you're revealing a product or something, you need to reveal it in a dynamic way where your customers or your consumers are going to get attracted to it. So that's what we're going to do it in a dynamic way. So in this tutorial what we're going to do is a cloth reveal simulation. This is a product and we're going to reveal it by a cloth moving away from it. So it's the product of our product is covered by the cloth and we're just going to make the cloth move away. So how to do it in a most smooth way possible and in a simple way. So let's get started. So in this case what I'm taking is I'm taking my monkey as the product, and you can change it to any this thing, and this process works to any object. So make sure you follow my steps from beginning till the last. So if you are a beginner and if you don't get most of the things means, you can see my previous videos where I explain for the beginners this blender tutorial. So make sure you see that before you see this video. So now what we do is I just made this monkey a little more smoother by I'll just show you how I did it. So shift A to add a new mesh and click on the under the section and click monkey and bring him up a bit and rotate him by R on the X axis and G on the Z and bring him a little bit down. Yep, it's fine. And now what you're going to do is right click and shade smooth. And now if you see, our monkey is still some little bit parts, the curves and all are sharp edges, so we don't need that. So for that what you're going to do is go to your modifier tab and click on add modifier, a subdivision modifier. Now if you see, our cloths are not that, it's like little bit, it's just into half. So we'll just make the level of things something like 2 or 3, make it 3 and check. Yeah, now if you see, our curves are fully perfect. So this is what we needed. So now what we need to do is we need to make it act like a collider. In that case, if a cloth or if anything touched it means it acts like a collider and it collides it other than getting into it. So for that what you're going to do is click on your monkey, go to the physics tab and click on collision. Same for the plane or the floor. So why I'm doing collider for the floor is because it then only just if my cloth comes in, sometimes if it just touch the floor we don't need it to glitch out of the floor. We need to still make it stay on the floor. So that's why make sure you do click on this collision for the floor too. So for the walls it's no need. So add a new mesh, a plane. This is gonna be our cloth. So scale them a bit up, a small portion over here. Now what you're gonna do is grab him by clicking on G and click on Z to move him up on the Z axis, and grab with G on the Y axis and move him a little bit over there. So now it's okay. So now what you're going to do is go to the edit mode and subdivide them more, like more than 7 times. Yeah, this time this much is enough. So click on this axis or click on numpad 7 and deselect all of these and select only one of these sides. Okay, so one of these sides are only selected. So that's what we wanted. And now what we need to do is go to your vertex group and add a new vertex group by signing it and click on assign and double click on the group to rename it. So I'm renaming it as the cloth. Enter. And now let's go to object mode and click on it and go to the physics tab and click on cloth. So in this there are many properties, right? So in my previous thing we have seen about it, how to make a cloth cloth collider. So I'm not gonna go that deep into it. And here if you see, you can just select what type the cloth is gonna be. I'm just gonna make it as a default and make the quick step something like 10 and go to the shape of it, and in the pin group click on the group and select the cloth we have done. So cloth in the sense, not this, the group which I have made before, you remember? Yes, that's what we need it for. If you didn't do that, means what is gonna do this group, right? It's just gonna vanish. It's just gonna act like a cloth instead of a point where it's gonna get pulled. So make sure you do that. And next what you're gonna do is go to collision and make the quality into something 5, and that's enough. So just make this option open. It will be useful after sometimes. So now what you're gonna do is, next thing what we need is a bone or an armature to control our cloth. So for that what we're gonna do is go to add and click on armature, and our armature is over there, and G to grab him. So let's grab him over there, and let's just place him on a on the edge of it. So click N on your keypad to see these views. So let's just move him a bit side, yeah, and move him under the x-axis at the other corner. So now let's just see, make it move on the corner of it. Yep, that's perfect. So now what you're gonna do is click on your bone and go to edit mode and click on A to select all, and click Shift D and make it the same place where your bone was, and left click to confirm. And now what you're gonna do is click G on the x-axis and move it to the other corner, and just make sure you have done it correctly. Okay, a little more. Okay, yeah, let me just select it all and G on the x-axis and bring him up a bit. Yeah, now he's in the perfect corner. Now what we need to do is we need to make the bone connected to the plane. So how you do that is click on your plane and click shift and click on your bone. Now what you do is type Control P to parent this bone to the plane. So Control P and click on with automatic weights. So after you do that, you might get like a line over here that just states that where the middle point is gonna be. So you don't need to mess with that. And now if we play our animation, our FPS is obviously gonna drop. Sometime most of your computer is gonna crash or something, because we didn't bake it. So but still you just make sure you do this, even though your computer is gonna crash or it's gonna take time, it might not even respond. So why we are doing this is so that we can see whether our cloth is colliding properly or not. Otherwise after we bake it, if you check means it's just gonna be a big mess. So we don't need that to happen, right? So let's just unpause it right now. And in my case, the cloth is gonna, it's colliding so well that my this plane is just gonna stay like that. So now what I need is I need this armature to just keep on moving this side. So my animation is gonna start, when? So in 24, I'm just gonna click on I to just to add a keyframe. So this keyframe, and if I change, on for the plane, and for the plane I'm adding the keyframe. So I and I, and same for the bones, and it just gets selected because bone and the plane are the same over here. So now what you're going to do is we're going to move on the other side so that when it's revealing, so when the cloth drops and it's going on the other side and the cloth is going finished, that's what we're going to do over here. So I'm just going to scroll through my animation to something like 140 frames so that it is getting more slower or something. So make it like 160, and in 160 frames what I need is 170. Yeah, 170 is also fine. So now what I'm clicking, click on your armature and click G on the y-axis and move it the other side of the plane over there, and go to the location and click on I and I for the rotation. In case if you are rotating means make sure you do that. So in this case I'm not rotating anything. So let's go back, and now if we play it, and let's just go to 0 and the camera view. So shift F is my shortcut for walk navigation. So suppose if you need your walk navigation, if you need to get your walk navigation, is make sure you see my previous videos. Otherwise you just select your camera and go to view and under view, go to navigation and scroll down. You can see walk navigation option. So now if I play the video, my FPS will drop, but just make sure before you bake it, it looks good or not. So after you bake it, it's not nothing, none of the options are gonna be available for you. So please don't do that mistake. And yeah, okay, my cloth is colliding with the floor. I'm happy with that. Mm, and I can't see any pixels on my cloth, or it doesn't act like a plane or something. Okay, my cloth is moving right now. Yeah, here it's getting collided with it itself. So let me just pause it for a while, and click on the cloth and go to its physics. I mean its physics properties and scroll down. And over here, what you do is click on self collision for a little more realistic effects. So let me go back and check how what difference it has done to my simulation or my animation. So what self collision does is it just collides with each other. So now if you see before, my animation was not that realistic, for to be frank. So let's just go to the first frame and click on play, and let's go to our camera view by clicking numpad 0. Okay, let me unpause it for a while. Let me just scroll through it. Okay, now let me play it. Okay, fine. Yeah, 5th frame. It's gonna take a lot of time. So it's gonna turn out good only because in my last keyframe you have seen that my armature moved, right? So after, if you see over here in my these frames, my armature is not moving at all because my keyframe starts only at the point where it's 35. That time to only it starts moving. That's what we needed it to move. That's when we needed it to start moving. So now if you see, my cloth is colliding to itself in a pixelated form because we didn't shade it smooth. So what you do is select your cloth and click on shade smooth, and that should make some difference. And if you need little more smoother as before, modifier tab and add a modifier, the subdivision modifier, and add the subdivision modifier and make it into 2 or something, and enter. And now it's much smoother than before. And if you need to increase the thickness of the cloth, here if it's like, I prefer you to be lighter. Suppose if you need to make it thick, means what you do is go to add modifier and solidify modifier. That will little more make your cloth little more heavy and thick, like if you need it to show like heavy. But in this case I don't need that, so let me just cancel it. Yep, now it's okay. So now if I just go after my keyframe to just make sure whether my armature is moving or not. So let me click on the 50th frame. Okay, it is moving. So here you see my armature is moving. So let me just scroll over there. So let me just click on my armature. I clicked on the armature so that I can see where's my keyframe ending. Yeah, my armature is moving. So if my armature is moving, means my obviously my cloth is also gonna move. So let's just check whether it's moving or not. So it's gonna take time. It might crash sometimes. So yep, pause it. So my blender is not responding, as you see here. This might happen to you also. So just make sure you see it before you bake. So that's one of the mandatory things over here. So after it's after I get back, I'll just unpause it so that it might not crash. So my project is saved already, so I don't need to worry that much. Mm, okay. Now Blender is back to my control. So let me just unpause it very quickly so that it won't crash again. Because Blender is a server only, right? So if I go in the middle of a frame, it should make it handle or something. Okay. So let's wait for a while. So I'll just see you guys after my computer is back to me, and I'll just bake it very quickly. So how to bake it? If you are, just go to your physics tab. So let's just see how to bake it. So what you do is click on your cloth and go to your physics tab, and what you do is come little down and make sure your end frame over here and that is matching. So in this case our animation is gonna end at 170 frame. So make sure you do the same over here, 170, and same for over here, 170, and make a click on bake. So it's gonna take a lot of time while it's baking, so I'll see you guys after. So my project over here is baked, and now what I did is, let me just edit my keyframes so that it doesn't take too much time. It doesn't look like a cloth is flying, and we don't need it to happen like that. So what I'm gonna do is make the starting point to be like something 40, and here also in my bake section over here in physics tab, on my khaki section I made it as 60 till 170. Instead of like starting from the beginning and falling, I just made it from the 60 so that it I'll get a good view. So now if I click on my camera view to show you guys how it came, well, so let's click on camera view and let's select it. Yep, now if you see there are some colliding parts, just never mind, just don't mind about it. It might be because your monkey over here is not smoother. In my case, it was smooth at the beginning, but while baking, I just deleted it so that it just bakes so fast. So let me just shade it smooth very quickly, go to the modify tab and add a new modifier, which is going to be a subdivision modifier, and it's going to be 2 over here. So let's go to camera view and select check how it looks like. So now it looks like a little much better. So for me it looks smooth only. Sometimes for you it might look some little bit rugged. So just never mind about it. So let's see my rendered video. Thanks for watching.